So, hello and welcome to the Dharma.life podcast. I'm your host, Aloise Surfleet-Middleton. I'm a transformational teacher and coach, and I'm the creator of the Dharma.life Academy. And today I want to welcome you to my first ever Divine Feminine Round Table. Yay! And I'm very excited to introduce you to my guest today. Each of these wonderful women has been on the podcast recently, and I just got this massive download that I needed to bring all these incredible women together to really help and serve the collective and answer some of the questions that you guys might be having at the moment. So let me introduce you without further ado to my guests. So I'm going to start with lovely Nyla Nguyen. Welcome.
Hi there. It's my second time being on your podcast.
Absolutely. So Nyla and I got connected probably about 4 months ago. One of her YouTube videos went completely viral, and I just loved what she was doing, really standing in her truth. She's an old soul, a twin flame, and she's obviously here to help the ascension of the planet. So Nyla, welcome.
Thank you for having me here. I'm honored to be here.
Hey. And then Christine Elvig is a spiritual teacher all the way from Denmark. She is a very good friend of mine, a really wonderful mentor in my life. She's been a lifesaver over the last 6 months. And she also has this beautiful gift and way of making things that are really complicated, really, really simple. So I really wanted to have her on the podcast today. So welcome.
Thank you.
Then I'm going to introduce you to the lovely Anna Wood. She's an incredible intuitive channel who came on my radar probably about a similar time to Nyla, actually. And she was standing in her truth, and she's such a beam of light, and she helps you activate your powers. So Anna, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. And last but no means least is Elizabeth April, who definitely has shifted my paradigm. She's a paradigm shifter, and I saw her Galactic Federation video about 4 months ago, and it just totally blew my mind, but it was so what everybody needed at that time. And I think that video now has had 185,000 views, which is incredible. So Elizabeth, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Eloise. So excited to be back.
Yay. So what it'd be great if you guys could you just take a minute or so? I'm just going to come to Nyla first. If you can just introduce yourself, your work and kind of what you're doing for the collective, that would be amazing.
So my name is Nyla Nguyen. I am a twin flame and old soul. My YouTube got started about a year ago officially when I got activated. Basically, when I say activated, it's when my higher self came in and just gave me the guidance and the intuition to let me know what I'm going to be doing. Because for a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of lost and confused. But finally, I heard this intuitive voice that says, okay, you're going to start a YouTube channel, 3D to 5D consciousness. I'm like, what? What's 3D to 5D consciousness? I had no idea what that is. But basically, the channel is about getting myself to ascend, to attain 5D state of consciousness, becoming galactic. And I'm pretty much sharing my journey and my transformation on the channel, so that way people are following the transformation of myself, but then they can use the knowledge, their information, and assist themselves in their transformation process.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Christine?
Spiritual teacher and author. I began my journey with feng shui and angels and all that very mild stuff. And then I turned on to money and business, created chaos in Denmark, saying women could be financially free with passion and all that stuff. I created my own certification program and spent a lot of years in the self-help industry. And then I got completely burned out on self-help. I prayed to the universe, I want to contribute somehow, but I don't want to do that much heavy lifting anymore. So I'm onto essential oils now. They're doing the heavy lifting. They're doing the plant magic and healing, tremendously hard and deep stuff. And I get to write books, be a lot in my bedroom, be introverted and private, and do a lot of heavy lifting with this squad of oils.
Until I drag you out.
Yes,
So
that's
welcome. So Anna.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Anna Wood. I am also a spiritual teacher and coach. I help people re-engage their soul gifts and serve their mission on earth. My background is actually in the corporate world. I've always been a seeker, but I grew up in Silicon Valley. So my way of seeking, you know, I went to Berkeley, I worked at Google for years. I got my MBA at Stanford. And I looked around and I had created this supposed dream life that was supposed to make me happy, and I wasn't. And I really had that, you know, kind of moment where I needed to leave it all behind and go within. And I saw how guided I had really been my entire life. And what a spiritual connection I had really had my entire life, even though I lived in this atheist world. And I had been coaching for a while as well. So I started to come out of the closet, come out of the spiritual closet. And as I did that, all of my gifts re-engaged. Spiritual gifts came back. It became really obvious what my mission was. And I hopped aboard what I call the magical universe train. And now I help others do that as well and serve their mission on earth.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And Elizabeth.
Yeah, so I guess in brief, I was born with extrasensory abilities in this lifetime. So I've kind of always been a little bit, you know, awakened or a little bit odd, I guess, from everyone else. I really got my career started around the age of 16 when I started to deep dive into past lives and past life regression. I started to really wake up and re-experience all of my past lifetimes at that time. And it wasn't until I was 18 years old when I had my first conscious alien abduction, when I started to realize that they're here, they're a thing, and we've actually all been them before. So then I started doing past life regressions for other people off this planet. And it's just been this beautiful kind of exploration of, you know, who are we as a soul and what is going on at this time. And, you know, I feel like my mission on this planet is to help people understand who they are by giving them the information so that they can remember their souls.
Perfect. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. So obviously the reason for bringing you guys together is we are in this great awakening period. And I truly believe what we do over the course of the next 6 to 12 months will have kind of an impact on how quickly the old paradigm, the old systems, the corrupt systems break down. And so we're kind of in this eye of the storm currently. And I wanted to just throw this question out. I'm going to come back to Nyla. So I'm going to come to each of you, but what is it, what do you think will happen on our planet over the course of the next sort of 5 to 10 years? And what can each of us personally do and also do to help the collective?
Who do you want to answer first?
You.
Oh, me. I don't really think of 5 to 10 years down the road. That's not the way I think anymore. I live in the now.
Sure.
So right now we're winning. Right now I'm focused on us winning. We're waking up so much people right now. There is a massive breakdown of the old paradigm. I already know we've already won. We're just now acting it out. So I don't think 5 or 10 years down the road. I just live in the moment, and the moment right now is beautiful for me. For my reality, everything's great. Everything's working. Everything's flowing. Everything is as peaceful. When you learn how to use these spiritual laws, no matter all the chaos that's going around you, you remain calm, you remain centered because you're in the eye of the storm. Because in the eye of the storm, everything is calm, everything is collected. And in my reality, everything is, even though there is things that are not going my way with the psychic attacks, I don't even let it bother me anymore. I just let it roll off my shoulders and don't even focus on it, because I know there are psychic attacks being done on light workers right now. But if you give too much energy and attachment to it, it will suck down your energy. It will lower your vibration. And the best thing that people can do right now to help the collective is to live in the now, keep your vibe high, dismiss all of the issues that's going on in your life, detach from it emotionally, and focus on the positive. Because when you focus on the positive, you always get a positive result from that. So that will be my my information that I want to share to the collective and how they can help themselves, but also help the collective be in a more positive state of consciousness.
Perfect. And what you're essentially saying, which I totally agree with, is the light has won. It's kind of like we are in, you know, a fantastic period. We are breaking through. So, okay, so staying in the moment and really kind of being centered and you know, centered and anchored in the moment, essentially.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to come on to Christine. Any advice for people around what they can do to essentially help themselves and help the collective?
I agree with the time. Who knows who I am in 10 years and where we are? I can't even, you know, go there at this point. So I'm in the now too all the time. I think sovereignty is a big word for us and for me at this time. I think it's so important. I've been teaching this for, I think, the last 15 years or something, and I didn't know the depth of it, but I've really gotten to understand that in the last month. Look at where you're still dependent on others. If you're dependent on the government, that's a big thing you need to fix as soon as possible. And if you can't take your kids out of school, you know, if you need to, that's a big thing to look at. If you're dependent on your mom, your boyfriend, whatever, I would really take a look at that, create a list and pray, make a plan to kind of get help if you can't fix that or change that. That's a big thing to transform. And then another thing I see is the drama triangle and like the savior role. I think light workers are struggling with that. I fell completely back into the role of the savior in March. I felt like, oh my God, I have to heal the world, help everyone. I wrote my list. I created a group on Facebook and I was like, oh my God, you have to listen to this, that kind of energy. And then I took some oils and I calmed down a little bit. And now here a few months after, I understood, suddenly it hit me. Everyone knows that something's going on and everyone's kind of made their decision on how to react on it. You know, some are wearing masks, some are still doing the job they were at before, and others are moving and growing their own food and whatever. So I think that's so important to understand that no one needs to be saved. I think there's so much great information out there and it's easy to get your hands on. And I think we need to accept that we all get to choose. And that's a big one for me. I don't like that. I want people to choose light and love, and many are not. And that's a big thing, I think, to accept. It takes you through a grieving process, actually, ending with accept that we each get to choose.
Yeah, I love that, actually. I spoke to my uncle yesterday after not speaking to him for 3 months. And, you know, they're very in the 3D, my family. But he was saying, oh, no, I don't watch the television. I've stopped watching it. And I was like, oh, yes. So, Anna, what about yourself?
So I believe the original question was the eye of the storm and what's coming and how it affects the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, so let me just repeat it for you. So kind of what you will think over the course of the next however long and what each of us can personally do to help ourselves and the collective.
Okay. So, I mean, this year, you've got to know how interconnected everything is. And all of these events that they want you to think are random, everything is connected. Everything is an illusion and orchestrated. So question everything. There's going to be event after event. It's not just about the cocoa or just about, you know, racism. It's going to be one thing after another. And so our job as light workers, as light leaders, is to not get caught up in the distraction and actually not to react at all. You know, a couple of weeks ago when I saw everybody start posting a black square on their Instagram feed automatically because they didn't want people to think that they were a bad person, my psychic antenna went up right away. You know, like that was a major red flag, that word blackout, when we're already being censored, we're already getting psychic attacks like Nyla said. So you've got to get yourself out of reaction mode. Don't just post the black square, to use that as an example. Really look at this and look at the symbolism behind what that black square may signify, or what that may be, what kind of magic that may be putting out in the collective, and respond. Responsibility is the ability to respond. Don't get swept up in the confusion or in the chaos. I think that's a big mistake that anyone can be making right now. And then another big mistake that I see light workers making, and I have been guilty of this myself about a month ago when I received some attacks. I really let it affect my own frequency. And that was a huge mistake, because the most important thing we can be doing as light workers is holding our frequency. There's an enormous amount of light on the planet right now. That's why these shadows are being exposed. And as there's more and more light on the planet, most people's bodies can't actually handle it. That's why they're clinging on to fear, clinging on to the news, but our light bodies can hold more light. And so it's our job to anchor in the higher frequencies. So really the most important thing that we can be doing as light workers is hold our frequency. So do whatever you've got to do. Like Christine was saying, don't worry about the savior complex. I got swept up in this in the beginning of this too. I'm like, look at this, everybody, are you seeing this? Wake up, But at this point, we're at a point where things are so obvious. You see it if you're on the frequency where you can see it, or if you don't see it, we've just got to hold our frequency. And as more and more shadow is exposed, as there's more and more light on the planet, those people will eventually wake up. Some people aren't going to believe it until something's in the mainstream media, but that's just their path. And that's their path. And we've just got to respect where everybody is in their journey. And we're doing the whole collective a disservice if we lower our own frequency to try to save other people or get swept up in the chaos. So if you have to take a little bit of a break from certain people in your life, in your family, if you need to take a break from social media and go hang out in the redwoods for a couple of weeks, do that, because our job is literally to anchor in the higher frequencies.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we just have to really listen to ourselves, don't we? And kind of, respect the fact that everybody's on their own journey and they may not be on the same path as us, and then really tune in and feels what's right for us. As Nyla said, living in that moment, essentially. So, Elizabeth, do you want me to repeat the question? Or?
No, I got the question. I am all about preparing for the future. So I'm definitely in the now moment, and I love being in the now moment. But so we're in a huge cycle right now. And the cycle is, and I learned about this cycle a couple years ago. The cycle is between 2020 and 2024. And we just came out of a 3-year cycle, which was 2016 to 2019. And all of the light workers on the planet were getting activated between 2016 and 2019. So that means the absolute ego death, the collapse, the losing the job, the losing the family, the losing the money, the rebuilding yourself to get to a point where you're like, oh, I have to do something, so I call it coming online, right? So all of these light workers have all been activated and have all started to really come online between that time frame. The reason why we all had to have an ego death and collapse everything that we knew between 2016 and 2019 is so that we could be prepared for the rest of the world and the other 8 billion people who are about to have an ego death and collapse their 3D matrix. So right now we're at the beginning of a collapse cycle on the planet. So once again, 2020 to 2024, we are going to see every structure, every infrastructure, every system that has been corrupt, which is pretty much every system, we're going to see it all collapse, right? So we've got the economic, we've got the political, we've got financial, we've got religious, we've got mass media. This is just the beginning. So people thought it was bad with the wildfires, and then they thought it was worse with the virus, and now the whole Black Lives Matter I mean, we're going to see more riots. We're going to see more upheaval. We're going to see more collapse in the next 4 years. So the biggest thing that I would recommend for people is to get prepared. And the two aspects of getting prepared equalize the two aspects of this physical reality, which is get physically prepared and then get spiritually prepared, right? So it's great to talk about, maintaining your vibration, being in 5D, being aware of who you are and what is harmonious and not harmonious to you, and getting rid of anything that is not harmonious to you, which is really good. But we also have to understand that, if things do get worse, do you have food and water? Do you have supplies? Do you have your money out of the stock markets? And I've been kind of a prepper since 2011, 2012. I do believe that our timeline has shifted where we have already won, which is incredible. And the Galactic Federation is more chill than I've ever seen them before, which is amazing. But we are also on the timeline of collapsing the 3D old matrix reality, which means that things will get worse before they get better. So 4 years of collapse. After 2024, we're going to actually start to see the rebirth and the collective 5D consciousness on this planet at a very stable level, right? I mean, until then, it's going to be very difficult for light workers to withstand the 5D frequency because they're still battling a 3D world. I believe that it's not going to be until 2024 and beyond where we can actually all come together in a 5D frequency harmoniously as a collective. So once again, there is going to be a collapse. I do recommend preparing yourself at a physical level with things like food and water for your family for at least 3 months, and then silver and other kind of survival gear just in case, right? It's better to be safe than sorry is always in my mind. And then of course getting prepared, with yourself spiritually as well, meditating, going within, and understanding who your soul is really going to help the collective as well maintain that frequency. So that's kind of what I recommend for the next 5 years or so.
So buckle up, but nothing to be afraid of because essentially the light has already won. Fantastic. And Nyla, is there anything else you want to add Okay, cool. So we're going to come on to the next question. So I really want to make this a really practical, grounded session for our listeners. So I'd love to get your advice really from each of you about the current time. Like, what is it? What insights do you have for our listeners around the current time? So very broad, very open, but I'm going to come the other way. So I'm going to come to Elizabeth first.
Okay, cool. All right. So advice for the current time is, kind of like we mentioned before, is maintaining your frequency. Mm-hmm. And I work a lot with neutrality and 0 point frequency, which basically means that you're in a place within your body where you are objectively observing everything without reaction, right? Now, if you get into this place a little bit too much, which I've definitely explored, you kind of become robotic, right? So you're kind of just removed from everything. So it's always a balance, right? It's the 5D vibration is kind of being above everything. 5D doesn't necessarily mean all light and all love and rainbows and butterflies. 5D means that you're able to take a look at the polarity. You're able to take a look at light and darkness, and you're able to choose with discernment in that moment what vibration you want to dabble in. So the main thing is stay in neutrality, especially when the world is about to go through a lot more chaos than we're currently witnessing. So the easiest way to stay in neutrality is to remove yourself from polarity. Obviously, if you've got drama in your life, like someone was mentioning earlier, if you watch the news, just kind of remove yourself from all of that polarity. And the easiest way to maintain neutrality and stay in 0 point is nature, because regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of what your perception is on this reality, that tree is always out there. It's always growing. It doesn't care what you think about the world. Nature is constant. So if we get back to nature and we walk around with barefoot feet and we hug a tree every once in a while, or watch a baby bird learn to fly, like that's going to keep us in neutrality. And that's going to allow us to be in that 0 point frequency so that when we are faced with polarity in our own lives, we have the tools to face it.
Nice. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. It's kind of the simple things, isn't it? Just ground yourself every day and really get back to nature. So Anna, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. I'd love your insights for our listeners. And I know you talk about activating your powers, and this is an incredibly exciting time from that perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about what we can be doing in the current time. One of them is about activating our power. So I'll share that one first, which is that as a light worker, as a light leader, you came here, whether or not you remember it or not yet, you came here with very unique soul gifts. And there's a reason why we are all seated in different industries in different parts of the world. We're seated in families a lot of times that are not awake. And that's because we came here with specific gifts to serve with, them in all of these different areas. And I see that it's going to be really magical to watch. I'm so excited to see how all of these light workers in different industries serve their mission. People in the media, people in healthcare. We're in all of these different areas, and we came here with very specific gifts. For me in particular, I know that my gift is my voice. And I went through this massive throat chakra clearing for 2 years where I had a cough, and I went through to every healer and doctor, Western doctor you can imagine. No one could figure it out. The only thing that has helped it is speaking my truth, even when people didn't.
Fascinating.
And so, these gifts are programmed in your DNA. So you don't even really have to search for them or try that hard. In fact, that creates this dense, heavy energy. Just know that they are there and allow them to reveal themselves by following what lights you up, and know that you have a mission and it's time to serve it. Like literally, now is the time to serve it. Now is the time to activate. You were not meant to be in a 9-to-5 job that you hate, that keeps you in stress and fatigue and keeps you in the lower frequencies. You were meant to serve your mission, and you came here with a specific mission. And right now, as you're listening to this, you know that. So know that this is the time to take the leap. If you haven't already, you're so supported. We all have teams here that are here to support us. So ask for the support, ask for the guidance, and take the leap. And life will become very magical when you do. Some other things I want to share. We're ascending, and sometimes it doesn't feel like that because there's so much chaos and darkness being revealed in the world right now. But remember that this all needs to happen. It needs to be exposed. Light needs to be shed on the darkness so that people see it, so that people wake up, because what is being revealed is so out there. It's your brain breaks for some people when they figure it out, because it just completely shifts everything that we were programmed to believe is true, and people need to see it to believe it. So even though, if you're listening to this, you probably see it, we need this stuff to be exposed so that people see it for themselves, so that finally they start to see, okay, things aren't adding up here. I start asking the deeper questions, and then when you start asking the deeper questions, you start to remember. I also want to say that this period right now, so it's June 18th, which, by the way, this is a really exciting day. This is the day when you take into account all of the missing days. This is the day that the Mayan calendar actually ended. So everything is falling apart. Yeah, new work is being born. It's a perfect day to be doing this. So a lot is being shed right now. And the visualization that I keep seeing is it's sort of like we're treading water. I have personally noticed for myself in the past couple of weeks, and with a lot of my clients, that it almost doesn't matter if you're working 10 hours or if you're working 100 hours, you're going to get the same result, because it's not about huge forward progress right now. It's actually about clearing our karmic cycles. So rather than working all the time, actually focus on yourself, because whatever's coming up for you right now is probably something that, or I know actually it's something that has been a cycle for you, not just in this lifetime, but for many lifetimes. And we're peeling back really, really deep layers here to be healed. So actually take that energy that you're putting into other people or you're putting into your business, and you can actually put that energy into yourself and get the same result everywhere else. Oh, and I just want to put an exclamation point on what Elizabeth said too about nature. Mother Gaia is healing herself right now. You can see it everywhere. You can see the animals coming out. I can see Catalina Island from my balcony now, clear as day. So get in the ocean if you can, get in nature. Grounding is super, super, super important because there's so much orchestration going on that's designed to unground us. Even if you're living in 5D, you can still get ungrounded. You can still get knocked down. So nature is one of the most powerful and, like Elizabeth said, consistent ways to hold our frequency. And then lastly, visualize. The new Earth could look a lot of different ways, and the timelines can be very different depending on us. And what the new Earth is and what it looks like depends on us as well. And we all have different ideas. So the more you can visualize, what do you actually want the new Earth to look like? Do you want there to be more nature in your city? Whatever it is, you visualize that and actually take the time. And as you do that, the more you visualize, the more you get to start living in that new Earth right now, because that becomes your frequency and you just attract that experience, because the new Earth already exists. It's here, especially now, June 18th. It's here. You can live on it. So start visualizing.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And trust is the other thing I'm really hearing there. Trust that everything that's coming up right now is for a reason, and to delve into it and to trust that actually it's coming up for your highest and best good.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, Christine, any insights for our listeners around the current period?
I've always been big on, I say, follow your instructions, your guidance. And I think that's so important. It's always been important, but by now we're all moving so fast. So it's really important. So I'm big on, sacred yeses and sacred nos. Honor your yes and your no. And it sounds so simple and sometimes maybe a little bit stupid. The world is chaotic, and here I am honoring a yes. I need to change this teacup or whatever. We can feel so small and insignificant. But if we all did that, just minded our own business, came from that sacred yes and no, that would put us straight into 5D, and we would just be in that simplicity. So simplifying is a big thing for me. I'm a minimalist, so it's always been big, but I feel like it's going to be big for everyone. We've been taught and we've been MK Ultra'd into, we need to work hard, we need to push, we need to struggle. Everything needs to be very complicated for us to have value. And I went through a phase in 16 and 19 with me just going back to simple, like taking out a lot of clutter, clearing out my schedule. And I went through a phase where, do I even have value if I'm just enjoying myself in this simplicity? And at some point I just finally got it, and all oils are simple. Life is simple, the plants are simple, animals are simple. So I think there's big wisdom in that, just going back to, what do I love? What do I need to get rid of? What am I done with? And, have the courage to say yes and no to the right things.
So kind of really almost doing a bit of a life audit and
yes.
simplifying and being really true to ourselves about what lights us up, what we need to get rid of.
Yeah, and not letting the ego talk us into, this is small, this doesn't matter, because it does matter, and it's so important. And it's something I've taught my kids, and they're so big on their yeses and their nos, and I love that. It makes things easy.
And it's so true what you're saying about us. We've been so indoctrinated into having to struggle, and things need to be difficult. And actually, it's the opposite, isn't it, really?
Yes.
And it catches us out.
It does. And our value is correlated to struggling. And if we didn't work hard for it, we didn't own it or earn it. And we need to get rid of that, I think.
And can you just elaborate on that a little bit for me? Because you are a genius at that. Like, that is one of your true gifts. Like, sometimes I'll ask you a question and you're like, well, does it make you feel good? And I'm like, no, not really. Well, why are you doing it? And I'm like, oh, that's really simple, So can you just elaborate for our listeners? Because it is something that is simple, yet, sometimes difficult for us to grasp.
So if we come from our essence and we feel this is a yes, everything else will back us up, and we'll just go do it. If we're indoctrinated and filled with everyone else's opinion and everyone else's yeses and nos, we're not following our essence and our guidance, and we're really not doing our job. So that's, it is simple. Just feel into it. Is it light? Is it easy? Do it. Is it heavy? Don't do it. Even though you have a million reasons that it would be nice. When I met Louise Hay, she said, if there's a should in your sentence, you shouldn't do it. And it blew my mind, because my whole life was built around shoulds. And it took me years to cross all those things off my list. And I got down to a few things that I really loved, and I never looked back since. And I see so many people acting out of should. I should eat this, I should do this, I should marry him, I should, don't do it. Yeah.
So really tune in, be true to yourself, get rid of stuff that's not working, get rid of friendships, get rid of partners, really be authentic in who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. So Nyla, insights for our listeners.
I would say become more conscious of your belief system. Your belief system is the foundation of you experiencing your reality. And if you are believing into things that is not serving you, that's dropping your vibration, that's perceived as negative, why hold on to the belief? Let it go. You have the power, the authority to selectively choose what belief system you choose to believe in that will shape the reality you're going to be experiencing. This is a very important timeline right now, because people's consciousness, 3D, 4D, 5D, is being split out. The people in the 3D state of consciousness, they're going to be categorized and grouped together with 3D state of consciousness, and their life is actually becoming turned upside down. I have a friend right now who is in 3D state of consciousness. This is his third friend who is now, their world is collapsing around them. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the tools, they don't have the insight, they have no idea what to do, how to cope with this type of change, the collapse that's going around them, because they've never dived into spirituality, they've never dived into metaphysics. They don't have the kind of insights and information I have from studying from years and years of this stuff from galactic teachers. What they had was just religious texts, and religious text didn't necessarily provide them with the solutions how to cope with this type of change. You can pray and ask for assistance, but it doesn't stop them from feeling the fear. It doesn't stop them from feeling the anxiety they're going through. So the people with the 3D, 4D, 5D state of consciousness, you can tell where they're at based on where they're feeling, their emotional state of being. So what I can say for the audience members, that choose your belief system very carefully, because you're going to be split up into these timeline. And then once the time moves further into 2021, 2022, it's going to be harder for those people to now connect with people who are in 3D to 4D to 5D. It's going to be a lot harder, because there's going to be such a massive separation. There's going to be barriers that you're not going to be connecting with those people in 3D versus when you're ascending to 5D. They're not going to be in your reality. You're going to be too busy for them. And they're also going to be too busy struggling to survive in their reality, because their reality is going to be based on survival, fear, lack, scarcity. So in my reality, I've already had 3 friends who are in 3D state of consciousness. They dropped out of my timeline. She's gonna be dropping on my timeline very soon too. But once they're dropped out, you're gonna have very little interaction with these people. So if you're feeling fearful, you're in the 3D timeline. If you're in a state of like positivity, you're looking happy, you're looking positive and excited, you're in the 5D timeline. So your emotional state of being is a good indication of what timeline you're on, and choose the reality you want to believe into. You have that, you're a conscious manifester. So choose the reality, choose to believe more consciously, Don't buy into the other people's opinion. Start to listen to your own higher guidance. Tune into your own self. Spend some more time with nature, connect with your higher self. Take a bath. That's a great time for you to also connect with your higher self too. Keeping your hands busy, but allowing your higher self, your intuition to flow through and giving you that inner guidance to lead you to where you want to go to.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I just would like to expand on one of the points that came out. So, you know, we've all kind of said that actually we are as a collective really manifesting and creating this 5D Earth. So for our listeners, because obviously Nyla said this, and you know she's touched it, we are powerful human creators, right? This is really a time for us to have a personal vision and also a vision for the earth that we want to live in. So I just would like to come back to Elizabeth. You know, for our listeners, you know, how can they take control of their lives now and really use their energy to create the life that they want?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, my number one biggest thing that I love teaching people, which is super tangible, is be aware of every choice that you make. And they're like, oh, well, I'm in quarantine. I don't really make choices. I'm like, you make thousands of choices a day. And based on those choices that you're making, you're hopping into an infinite number of different parallel realities. So every choice that you make has a ripple effect into the next state of being that you move into. So even if you open up your closet in the morning and you've got all these different clothes and you're like, well, quarantine, sweatpants again, you know, really ask yourself, does that excite me? Does that color excite me? You know, does this feel best for me, right? So a lot of the time we're making unconscious autopilot program choices that actually aren't serving us at all because we're just not aware of the fact that we have the power to choose in every moment. So if we bring conscious awareness to every small choice, whether it be what snack are you going to eat or what outfit are you going to wear, you know, then we can bring conscious awareness into bigger choices as well. And that's going to prove to us at a very basic level that we have control over our lives and that we can trust ourselves to make choices that really do benefit us.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm actually wearing sweatpants underneath down here at the moment. That I have to say, that is one of the things that actually has been really interesting during lockdown. It's like, you know, putting on makeup, my goodness, wow, what a new concept. But moment to moment awareness about the choices that we are making.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Fantastic. So Anna, how about yourself? How can the guys, the listeners, how can they really create the future that they want now?
Yeah. Well, two things are coming through. The first one is know that your path to ascension, which is this remembering of all of your soul fragments and merging with your higher self, which is who you really are. This path to ascension is totally unique to you. And so there's going to be a lot of information that's seeded in the collective designed to kind of seem like it's from the light, but it's actually designed to sort of knock you off path. And even with spiritual teachers like us, like, you know, receive guidance from other people, but then always tune into your own intuition and
Absolutely.
say, that's true for me, because what's true for me may not be true for you. We all have a unique path to ascension, and really your higher self is the only true guidance that really matters. So even when you're receiving guidance from other people, don't take it on as your truth unless your higher self says, yes, that's true for me. And you know, make the request to call in all of these pieces of yourself. The second one is, as you are merging with your higher self, you have to know the language of your higher self. And the language of your higher self speaks to you in passion, in creativity, in inspiration. That's the language of the higher self. So notice what is lighting you up. Notice what you enjoy doing, joy and bliss. That's the language of the higher self. You know, even if you're walking down the street and you just get the hit, like, oh, I should walk into this coffee shop, or, oh, I should wear these shoes today. And you don't actually know why. And maybe it doesn't even make sense. Maybe you had other plans. Follow that divine inspiration, because those things aren't random. That's your higher self saying, yes, this is aligned with your path. Yes, this is aligned with your remembrance. And if you keep following that, that's the magical universe train. You will see that everything becomes synchronized when you do that, and you will learn to trust it implicitly and just allow yourself to be guided. You don't have to control things so much, because you can actually just flow with that heartbeat, with that rhythm of your higher self.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I love what you said right at the outset, because I think there is going to be so much kind of information full stop out there, and it's so important that we are tuning in to what feels right for us and really being true to ourselves. And as Anna said, listen to all of us, but form your own opinions, really kind of take on what feels right for you. And if something doesn't, just leave it. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Christine.
I feel like we've said it all. Maybe it's
I know, very succinctly. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I think something I'm working on every day is my energy. If I'm tired, I take responsibility for that, and if I'm thirsty, and again, it's simple and still so important. And I've had days where I've slept for hours, and I'm okay with that. And I have days where I'm completely sad, and I'm okay with it. I embrace it. But then I use some oils that will, transform my grief or whatever it may be. So it's so important to handle our business, I feel like. So it's going through the motions, yes, but then doing something about it and transforming it. I'm big on tapping. My friend does that for me, and I'm big on, booking a healer or whatever if I need it. And I feel like every time I wake up in the morning, I feel like I've been working all night. So I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe Elizabeth can tell me, but I feel like we need, a few breaks along the way, because we're doing a lot of work, and I feel like all light workers are doing so much, and they're like, I would like us all to honor just the pause a little bit more. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I think that's a good thing to do that. Yeah.
Be nice to ourselves, and really
loving
slow
and
down.
kind, and everything that we're wanting, everything that we're longing for in the 5D. I think we should go ahead and do that now. Yeah.
And if you feel like sleeping, sleep.
Yes, even if we're at war, it's a good thing to sleep sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. So Nyla, insights for our listeners.
Can you repeat the question so that way the audience remembers the question?
Yeah, sure. So essentially it's more around, insights that you might have for our listeners around the kind of current time, things that would serve and support them.
No, your question was more like, what can they do to experience the reality they want to experience in this now?
Oh, sorry. So how do they create their future? Sorry.
How do they create the future or the reality they prefer, right?
Yes.
First, it starts with, I would say, intentions. Okay, intentions. What you're intending to create. Your intentions is very important. That's the fundamentals. And then I will say the next part for me is making a conscious decision. First intention, then I'll make a decision, and then the third thing I'll do is I'll just go into full execution. I take action. So you don't have to take massive action. I don't think the massive action will probably overwhelm people. I would just say break a very huge goal into smaller chunks and pieces and take them one by one each day, knock them down, So right now I have intentions of creating something more valuable for my audience, something big, a big surprise for them. It's going to take a lot of my work, a lot of my time and effort, but I have something brewing that I'm going to surprise them with. It's a big project. It's ambitious, but it's going to get accomplished. So you take something that's very conceptualized, very big, you make the decision to do it, and then you execute it all the way through. In that mode of execution, you go into that path of that timeline. So that way you are putting yourself in that timeline of manifestation. The language of the physicality is action. Maybe people spend too much time visualizing, thinking about it, pondering about it. That's great. That gives you that gives the higher self instructions and clarity what is it you want to experience, but they're missing the key component of this manifestation process is action. So they got to complete the whole process with taking action in the direction of what it is they want to experience. So I don't know what it is that people out there want to experience in their reality, but they want to change their careers, or they want to escape from their 9-to-5 job. And this is just some basic things that people want to do. A lot of people want to escape their rat race in their 9-to-5 job, but they don't know how to do it. Well, begin with the idea of what is it you want to become. Ask yourself, what is it you want to become? Okay, now go out there and find out what is the knowledge I need there's a software, the mindset of that person that you want to become. That's very important. You have to get the software, the knowledge, the information, the mentality. Once you get the software, you get the information. Now you have to implement that information and become the being. Become that person acting on that knowledge, acting on the information you have acquired, and then that process of you going through, because you're a multidimensional being. So in order for you to shift your reality, it has to be the complete process. Spirituality, emotional body, mental body, and the physical body, all working in unison as one. But the final completion, the final testament of you telling the universe, this is who I want to become, is your action. Your action says it all. So if you are wanting to become a next version of yourself, leaving the 9-to-5 job, but you're not willing to go search for a new opportunity or create a new opportunity or learn new information that tells the universe you're not ready for that change. You're just in the wishing phase. You're just desiring phase. It's not complete. The whole process is not complete. So to summarize what I just said, if you want to experience the reality you want to experience in the now, start with your intention. What is it you want to create? What is it you want to experience? Make a decision to actually do it, and then take action in that direction. And don't look back. Keep on going. Remove that fear of failure. Remove that fear of, well, maybe it's not going to work out. Let it all go. Detach. Just go with it. Follow that inner guidance system. It's going to start leading you by excitement. Do this. Look into this. Follow that excitement. Is leading you through a path of synchronicity of how you're going to accomplish that goal that you want to have accomplished. That's the simplest formula. That's how I accomplish a lot of big goals in my life, by just following that process of intentions, make a decision, take an action.
So set the intention, and then effectively you can, think, visualize all you like, but really it's down to the action that you take towards where you want to go, and being in, and then letting it go.
The core part of that process, definitely make a decision. Don't go back. There's no more plan B. There's just plan A. You go for it.
Get committed.
When I decide to leave the corporate world, do you think I'm going to say to myself, you know what, if this didn't work out, I can always go back to my job? Do you think I actually think like that? No. I made a decision. I don't like this job. I'm going to leave this job. This is it. There is no more going back. And then I stuck to the decision, and I followed the path that made me excited. The path that made me excited at the time was working out and playing tennis. So I made my lifestyle around that. I played tennis, and I became a personal trainer, and I trained clients. So I made that lifestyle surrounded by my passion. So that is also a very important process. Is once you set the intention, you gotta be willing to make a decision and stick to the decision, and then follow through with your actions.
And can you just elaborate on the detachment aspect as well? Because you mentioned that once you set the course, you then need to detach from it.
So detachment is the final process of you just not holding on to the intention so much. You gotta let it go. That's the paradox. You gotta let that go and let the higher self kind of guide you in the best way that it can to get you to experience the reality that you want to experience. Because a lot of people, once they have the visualization, they still hold on to it. There's still a lot of attachment to it. You gotta let it go. Just let it go, live your life, and follow your excitement. Your higher self is gonna tell you what's the next exciting thing to do. Either go for a walk, go have a meal with your friend, read a book, Go meditate. What is the most exciting thing for you to do right now? You do that. What is the most exciting? What's the most that's going to give you bliss and joy? You just do that and just live your life moment to moment to moment like that. And then, but following on that path of executing, taking the action of what it is you want to become to transform yourself.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Ladies, thank you so much. It's such an incredible time to be alive. I think it's really worth kind of reiterating that we all chose here as souls to be here at this time on earth, and I know, we kind of said buckle up and get prepared and everything, but ultimately remember you chose to be here at this time. And this is an incredible period on earth. We've never seen anything like it. And we are going into the golden age. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. We're going to have everybody's details in the show notes. So if you want to connect with Nyla, with Elizabeth, with Christine, with Anna, we're going to have all their details in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you guys what you thought of the conversation today. Please put your takeaways in the comments on the YouTube video. Please let us know if you have any questions. Please let us know if you'd like to do this again. But I just want to say thank you so much to everybody here today. Elizabeth, any kind of parting words?
I think you said it there, just understanding that we created this, we signed up for this, any challenges that you have in your life, you created that for a reason so that you can learn and grow and move forward. So yeah, I think there was a lot of beautiful things said, and I think that there's so many tools in this 1 hour that people can really stop and dissect and write down.
Watch it again.
Yeah, it was just incredible. I think everyone kind of covered all the bases, and we're clearly all syncing up, and we're all here, no matter if you're a lawyer or an accountant or, grocery bagger, you're here for a reason. Just like Anna was saying, you've got a part to play in this. So understand that no matter what you do for a living, you're powerful, and it's time to wake up to that power.
Beautiful. Anna, any final words for our listeners?
Serve your mission. Serve your mission. You came here with a mission, and if you're not serving it, you're robbing the world of your gifts. And yes, we chose to be here at this time. It's a super exciting time to be alive. It's the most exciting time in human history, but it's actually so much more than you chose to be here. You're a light worker. You auditioned for this role. You applied for it. You've been training for it for a lifetime. So it's time to activate and serve your mission and know that you are so supported, more than you could possibly imagine.
Beautiful. Yeah, lovely reminder. Thank you. Christine?
I would say enjoy the ride. My oldest daughter and I, we were once in a roller coaster, and she got so scared. She was like, she didn't breathe, and it blew her mind. And when we finished, she was like, Mom, can we do it again? And I was like, really? It didn't seem like you enjoyed it. And she said, I just want to do it without being so scared. I want to experience it while I breathe and have fun. And it taught me so much. I felt like, wow. And life has so many do-overs. I know we have this lifetime in this body, but we can do it again and then be more mindful, breathe more and enjoy more. So I think about that often, enjoy the ride, because sometimes we do end up in this position, what is going on? And I think it's so important to just enjoy it, take it all in. And it's not easy when we're like scared and whatever, but that would be my advice.
Have fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great advice. Great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Nyla, any parting words?
Yes. I would say you're not alone on this journey. You have a great spiritual team assisting you on the other side. You may not see them, but their presence is there. You have your higher self. You have your ascended masters. You have your spiritual team always there listening and wanting to help you, but you have to ask for their assistance. Not interfere with anything that you are experiencing in your reality. So there is divine laws that they have to abide by. So whenever you're feeling you're down or you're feeling not okay, you can always ask them to remove those energies, ask them for their guidance and ask them to alleviate your stress and give you solutions and the guidance to help you make you feel better. So because you feeling better is really important, because your feelings and your emotional state of being is what is going to get you to experience your reality. Everything is from the inside out. So you gotta make sure you gotta keep your vibration as high as possible, but also not allow external reality drop your frequency. And if you feel it dropping, don't be afraid. Don't forget to call out for assistance to your spiritual team. They're there. You might not see them, but they show you proof through angel numbers all the time. They show you indication they're there. They're listening. They're always there to help, but call for guidance.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And what a lovely, lovely way to finish. We are divinely guided and so supported by our galactic friends and our guides at this time. So ladies, thank you so much. Really appreciate you all coming on the podcast today for the first Divine Feminine Roundtable. And as I said, if you really receive something from this podcast, please share it, please like it, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please come over and say hello on my Instagram, our Facebook group, and also please let me know what you thought. So if you are listening, please take a screenshot of the podcast that you are listening to. Tag me on Instagram and I will reshare your post, and please let me know what it is that you got out of today's episode. Remember, when we do our Dharma, we are happier, healthier, we live longer, and we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace.